It's serving a purpose for you. Instead of a lot of people who are scared and they block it all out and like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. You're running from it forever until you use that energy for something and transfer it into something that's going to make you successful. And that's what I've learned through trial and error throughout my career and my life, is to say, you know what, instead of blocking it out or becoming mad with just a chip on my shoulder and be an angry person, I'm going to transfer all this energy and I'm going to let it out on the track. And it was the biggest test in 17 for me, because it was like, the whole stadium was like booing, brah! And they didn't realize that all that energy, I was just absorbing it all. So each round, it made me stronger and stronger. And it wasn't even to the point where it was like, you know what? I gotta win this gold medal. It was, I gotta prove all of you wrong because I know who I am. And it just so happened that all that energy pushed me to the finish line and I became the world champion.
Track is such a dog-eat-dog world, right? So each shoe company has a certain allotment for the sport. And in order to pay someone else who's coming up, they have to take money from someone else. There's very rare occurrences where there's new money being added to the pot, right? So if this young hotshot comes up from college and demands, this certain amount of money, the shoe company has to scramble and be like, all right, who can we get this from to give it to this guy, right? So they're almost robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so track athletes make money by, it's almost like survival, is it Darwinism? Survival of the fittest, you know what I mean? Like, you go out into the circuit and you make money by winning races or finishing consistently, and the more you perform, the more you're gonna get paid. So you have control over how much you're gonna make to a certain extent, because your performances dictate exactly how much you're gonna make. And there's such a huge gap between like the top level people and almost like the middle and rest. There's almost no middle range. It's either like you can live off the money you make, or you're like working another job.
This is how I look at it. You have an athlete, you have an independent contractor, and you have a company. And what I mean by those three layers is that on that starting line, you can have all three. So you can have a guy who's just an athlete, just trying to make money to be able to keep his lights on. And he loves what he's doing at this moment in time, and he's young. Then you have an independent contractor, somebody who has the ability to make a good living in this business, and he can get hot. He's getting second, thirds, maybe you'll win a race here or there. And then you have a guy who's a company, a guy who puts seats in the stands, a guy who meat promoters are calling you to be at their meet because they know if they put you on their poster or their advertisement, is going to be success in their pocket and it's going to trickle down to you. Now, if you watch boxing, and I know everyone has seen boxing before and understand like the financial breakdown of boxing, that's how track and field kind of is where you make this lump sum of money, and then you got to pay your agent, you got to pay your coach, and then you're paying yourself and whoever else has helped you with that success. But basically, no one really can live off a pot of money, a prize money. Usually where it happens is you become consistent in our sport, and you become consistent enough to where you get bonuses within your contract, so it raises your financial level with those, and then from those bonuses, obviously you have performed on the track, so you gain appearance fee.
So you start to demand how much money you want.
Appearance fee can be triple to quadruple the amount of whatever the pot is.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they just want you there because you are selling seats.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you can make you can make more than half of a standard person's living in America in one race if you're that good. Hey guys, I'm gonna go with, we're gonna start over here.
Actually, I went to the factory a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah?
You know, oh man, I'm gonna
So
get
clearly
crushed.
we already know who's gonna win this challenge.
Seriously. My goal is to be within $100,000.
Stand back, I can't let you look at the bill, tag,
Okay.
but
This one?
the Wraith, yes.
430.
That's a pretty good guess. I'm gonna go 440.
415.
In track, because of the nature of contracts and stuff, how there's reductions and you know, only a finite amount of money that we're all competing for, we're almost always on edge, right? When you're so much faster than someone else, you can like rest easy, so to speak, because you know, like, okay, I don't really have to worry about it. But when you're in the pack, you're always conscious of this guy's coming for mine. And I'm wondering if you're in your field, do you have that same type of worry where it's like, yeah, I'm making this amount of money now, but somebody could start a business tomorrow and could be in direct competition from me, and I don't have that competitive edge anymore, and I can't sustain this level of living?
I never worried about it from, I'm not going to be able to sustain my level of income. But Vonnie, my wife, would say, oh, you know, this company's going to copy us and they're going to do this. And I'm thinking, that never really worried me either. In fact, I quite liked it because, you know, it meant that we're doing something right. If someone's going to copy us, then we're on to something good. I never wanted to be someone that copied someone else. I always wanted to be the innovator with it. So no, I never really worried about that because I'm already that much ahead of them. So by the time that they've copied what I've done, I'm already thinking of the next 2 or 3 steps and changes anyway.
It's different because in business, I feel like you have a little bit more leeway. I mean, you have to learn, you have to excel, you have to work hard. But
I think I definitely think business is a lot easier because, you know, like you guys are talking about, I mean, there's a lot of fast people in the world, and I mean, you're like this, you know, there's a lot of successful people, but I don't have to be the top in the world to be successful.
once you find your edge, you can kind of like niche it out, but they have to literally will their body and mind every single day.
Now mind you, you have certain countries who may not have had a male sprinter be successful ever in their history of being a country, or little to none. So if they had an athlete who made it to the Olympics or even made it to the finals, like that person is basically set. Like that's their niche, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't have to be, he can be number 8 in the world and still be successful.
Yeah, but like in your market, the USA.
Oh, it's dog eat dog. It's like you said, I mean, it's
crazy though.
But even like comparing me versus you, if I run 9.9 in my country, there's only one other guy doing that. So I'm like a star. But if you do that in America, you got that a dime a dozen. Yeah. So you got to, you know, push them all. You got to be one of the fastest in the world.
You know, like you're not, he's born in Canada, you're born in US. You can't like really say I want to be born in Lithuania because I'm.
I mean, some athletes, they change their citizenship to be more successful. Oh, yeah, I mean, you can.
Are you serious?
There's loopholes and rules to it, yeah.
Transfer.
People have transferred.
For that reason, because it's so hard to make the team. Sometimes you have people running the fastest time in the world, or one of the fastest, getting 4th place at national. And you got to think too, like America, it's not just track athletes versus track athletes. You got to go against the top American basketball guy, the top American football guy. There's so many stars in America that you know, you're not as big of a deal unless you're like mind-blowingly good, right? Like pushing the envelope.
Let's take a walk in here, guys. Now we're gonna go into muscle. This is considered a monster on the road. That's exactly what it is. And that's why you drive it on Mondays, because it's a monster on Mondays. And it's probably one of Gary's favorite cars. We're gonna look at the Lamborghini Aventador. Handcrafted rims.
So my friend actually has, this is either his car or he has the exact one. So I'm going to say 450.
I'm gonna go 395.
It is 534
Jesus.
and
Half
some
a million?
change if you want to put on there, some change. But
It's on
he
sale.
actually wants to sell it, and he's willing to go 450 for the car. So technically, Gary, spot on, bullseye.
What was your first car where you were really saying like, I made it? You too, because you have nice cars too. So like, what was the first one that you bought where you're like, damn, I'm really driving this?
For me, it was in 2002. The first time I think the Patriots won the Super Bowl, right? All right, and Cadillac presented Tom Brady with this Cadillac truck, right? It was like the first time Cadillac ever made like a real truck. Like it was like a truck with the bed on the back and everything. And I was like, I want that. To me, that was unique. It was, Tom Brady had it. It was at the Super Bowl. It was success. That's what I looked at, and I was like, I'm gonna obtain that. And that was my first real vehicle I bought with my contract.
Really? How did you feel whipping around in that the first time?
Amazing, because no one else had it. No one else had it. So I was like, it was like I just arrived in a spaceship. It was like, oh, what is that? So it was eye-opening for me to realize that to keep on that path of setting goals, like Gary said, just keep setting the goals and just get to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. But when you're at that goal, don't look 3 goals ahead, just stay right where you're at and just be focused on what that goal is. We're gonna go a little green.
Okay.
Technology, electricity, a little bit of gas, just a little bit. But we're gonna go green, solar.
You
So
say
this car
solar?
right here once was a whole nother car. It was called the Fisker. Went out of business, but now this beautiful establishment has brought it back as the Karma. So I want to throw you guys off a little bit, see if you guys know anything about this car or maybe close to the range of how much it would cost. Solar panels on the top. It's dual gas and electric.
Does this give it gas, the solar power?
This gives it electric. I mean gas to go, yeah. So electric gas.
Okay.
It has 200 miles in the gas tank.
You're up, Aaron.
And right now it's charging on the other side, if you want to see.
Okay. Regular doors. The Karma. Alright, electric. Look at the interior. I'm gonna go 380.
My go? Well, they tried to sell me one of these things, so I don't know how much they are. I'm going to say 135.
150.
150.
There we go. 150. So we can definitely say yours was beginner's luck.
Luckily, my father had said, you know, I'm good with numbers and, you know, figures and things, so the banking thing would be good for you. Plus, I'd already started like 3 small companies for myself. You know, I don't call them companies, but I had basically 4 jobs while I was at school.
4 jobs while you're in college?
No, high school.
High school?
Yeah, high school. So it was all about, like, you know, listening to what consumers want.
Yeah.
I like bicycles, bikes, and I used to like building them and putting them together and making different bikes. And one day I was at a bike shop and looking to get some parts, and I was just in there looking around, and this lady came in and she asked the owner, she said, I'm looking for a used, you know, girl's bike. And he goes, oh, they're so hard to get. You know, when we get them, they go straight out. And they're just real hard to find. And I went, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so I knew a couple of my friends had some bikes, you know, girls' bikes sitting outside. And I said, you know, they're just sitting there getting rusty. I mean, can I buy them from? You can have them. So I went and painted them up with new tires and wheels and stuff on them and sold them. So I made a business out of doing that, just getting old bikes, you know, bringing them back to life and selling them. My wife had started her own clothing business in Australia for women's golf, and then opportunity came up to bring it to America. So we said, yeah, let's go to America for 3 or 4 years. That was 16 years ago. So we're still here. But we ended up selling the company last year. So now we're both fully retired.
Oh, fully?
Fully retired,
So
yeah.
It's Tatiana, right?
Titania Golf is
Titania
was
Golf.
the brand, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it started off as a women's only golf apparel, and then she was doing it all by herself. I was really just more of an advisory role. But then after a few years, I got bored and my mind was kind of sinking, so I decided to get back into it, and then so I added into some different ideas, and then we ended up getting into licensing products. So we ended up with the NBA license, LPGA, PGA Tour, Kentucky Derby, Disney as a client, Universal Studios, and then we sold that to a private equity firm who have now taken it and they're sort of building it the next scale. So. So yeah, we're both pretty proud that I started a company, sold it, and then she started a company and sold it. So it's pretty unusual for a husband and wife to, you know, to do that. So.
It's like a dynamic duo type of
Yeah,
situation, right?
yeah, power couple. First one's over here. Black Porsche, classic. Can't go wrong with a black Porsche. So it could be anything until you look at the back of it, knowing the turbo, GT2, GT3, GT4, so 911 turbo, hard top.
All right. So who's first on this one?
You want me to take it away? All right. Carbon fiber side scoops. Fin on the back, spoiler. Black rims, red calibers. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go 225.
Okay.
175.
175. 178.
You did hang around a little bit in front of that hood. I see you hang around the hood a little bit. You was hanging around the front a little bit too long. So my question for you, Gary, is you went from this kid painting bikes
Right.
to this man who is so successful that he has cars that people just wish and dream that they can have, you know?
Right.
What motivates you to keep going forward?
Again, the goal setting is what's my next goal, what to do, you know, I like nice things. I like nice clothes. I like a nice house, but I think that it's got to be in proportion and relative too. So I see a lot of people that have, you know, oh, I like nice shoes too. So they go and buy $1,000 pair of Gucci's. That's all well and good, but it's got to be at the right level. You don't buy $1,000 pair of Gucci's, you know, if you don't have a really nice car first, you know, and then a nice house to go with that. So I think it's got to start with, you know, the real estate part of it first. You know, once you've got that nice house, that's a good place to start. That's where I started. I was 21 when I bought my first, you know, property that I lived in. And then, so I couldn't afford to buy that unit or house if I'd bought $1,000 pair of Gucci's.
So that's the right way to do it.
Right.
You've got people who do it the other way.
Oh yeah, I mean I've got three daughters. One's the youngest is 13, and she's got a few friends that wear Gucci's to school. And I'm thinking, I can buy you Gucci's, but I'm not going to because it's not financially responsible to do that. So when you can buy them yourself, all well and good, but I'm not going to. Head to the Rolls.
Where are we going to eat with the rolls?
Somewhere
like
expensive.
Ocean's
It's going to
Prime.
cost you $50
Anywhere you want to go.
to tip the valet. So Rolls Royce, brand new Phantom.
Now I'm like Gary, you know, they tried to sell me this car, this exact one. And then I was like, no, and then someone came along and bought it. So you see it's sold already.
Oh, I have to go first?
I'm gonna go 435.
Okay. 460.
545. It's evident that both you guys with that goal setting, business, Tiger Woods, I mean everybody that's successful in whatever they've done, that common denominator is the goal setting and just continuing to set goals and continuing to work out ways how to get to that goal. It's not always, never, just that straight path.
So I would say Gat's the perfect example of it's never a straight shot. It's kind of like I'll go here, I'll go here, I'll go here, and now now you're here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's always about never losing who you are. And kind of like how Gary said, I mean, he has friends who don't have the money he has, but they're friends. He never lost that contact because he knew that was part of his foundation of who he is as a person, and no amount of money in the world has changed who he is, you know, and that keeps your center. So I learned throughout my life, my ups and downs and my peaks and valleys is I got to stay true to who I am. Because if I lose myself, then I become somebody I don't even know who I am. So I'm beside myself, like everyone's looking like, why'd you do that? I was like, I don't know why I did that. It's not me. So I just try to stay who I am and just try to stay focused. I mean, obviously it's gonna be times where you're gonna be cranky, grumpy, sad, happy, but you always try to find that line where you just ride it and just stay consistent.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that way too? Because I mean, now you're getting a lot more press than you ever have now. Because recent success and stuff like that. Do you feel it's hard sometimes to keep that center of who you are, or is it just?
Not at all. I don't know how to be anybody other than me, right? And who I naturally am is not that flashy person. So I could break the world record tomorrow and still do the same routine that I do right now. And I can honestly say that because I've watched myself rise up the ladder and not change. And people always say that about me, like, oh, I thought you were going to be this way, but you're so chill and I'm like, yeah, that's how I've been my entire life. Like, I don't know what else to be and portray because that's what is natural for me. And I just generally don't look at myself as someone who's like better than or is entitled. Like that's never been part of my DNA. So it's very easy for me to stay humble and even keeled and focused on always getting better. And like Gary was saying before, you know, when you hit one goal, it's on to the next. That's how I am. So like when I won nationals this year and I got the title, I retained it as Canada's fastest man, I was like, cool, turn up for like, 30 minutes after the race, celebrate with my family. And then it was like, all right, I'm over it now, and then it's like, okay, back to the mission, stay on track. Like, don't get sidetracked by these other things that are coming your way because there's so much more for you to achieve. And I think, like he was saying, like the common denominator between people who are successful and continue to rise up and reach different heights is the fact that they're never satisfied and they're always looking at the next thing.
For you to learn, and as you become more successful in track and in business, like, my gift to you is that find and mold that creature that you are. Because like I said, you have 9 seconds or 19 seconds, and 100 or the 200 to figure out who you are in that lineup. Are you gonna be fifth or are you gonna be first? And you can't allow anything to stop you because you will never get that moment back. So you can't let mom, dad, sister, wife, anybody else stop you from being that creature that you are. You're a unique creature, and that unique creature needs to come out at that moment in time. You know what I mean? So, and you can't emulate it or duplicate it. A tail, a mane, and hooves does not make you a unicorn. You're just a horse. Be that unicorn that you are.
So after you've been out for dinner, you got to have the roof off.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
The Black Badge Dawn. You could have done a tiebreaker to work out, to guess how much each wheel is. I guess on that.
Each wheel?
Wheel, no tyre, nothing else, one wheel. If you had to replace it.
$30,000.
No, it's actually cheap. It's only like $5,000. Yeah. It's all carbon fibre. So this is the black badge. So you got all blacked out trim. You got a black Spirit of Ecstasy.
Okay. Well, if that one was of 5, I'm gonna say this one's like 580.
580.
No, 550.
550.
I'm gonna say, I can't let all this blacked outness fool me. I'm gonna go for 445.
I think that's almost spot on.
This one's cheap.
455.
Jeez.
Got the last one.
I'm curious, you have so many cars, right? And we're in a luxury car building right now and going through our challenge, a lot of the cars you said you own or like know someone who owns it. Yeah. So is there still a car out there that is like a pinnacle for you that like, man, I want that? Like it might have to be a one-of-one or something?
Again, the goal setting thing is definitely there for me. So what's on the horizon? I like, yeah, definitely the Koenigsegg is a car that I'd love to have. I think, you know, the Koenigsegg, the Pagani, or the Bugatti. They're sort of the 3 next level cars. But cars go from, you know, like the Aventador, which I have, you know, $500,000, $600,000, to those cars which are $2 to $4 million. So there's a big jump. Yeah. So there's not really a car out there that's like $1 million, which is kind of like the next step. So
Sound like you have a new business venture now.
Yeah, seriously.
Supply and demand, you're right there in the middle.
Yeah. Go design that new $1 million car.
$1 million car.
Oh, well, I've been telling Lamborghini that's what you need. I mean, if you could build $1 million car, you'd sell a lot and limit them. That's what LaFerrari did. When LaFerrari came out, they were like 1.5, so it wasn't far away. Those cars are now $4 million.
Watch AB pick like some car outside.
Nah. Pick my own car. All right, let's start over here. Let's add some color to the mix. Got the red Bentley. Hold on, let me get the name. The Bentley Bentayga V8. Oh, God. You own this?
Yeah.
Gary just threw it up the backboard and dunked on me.
So, nice looking SUV. Nice little interior. Got the red inside, red trim. You know, expensive soccer mom car.
I'll go first then. I'm going to say 180.
I feel like I'm on an episode of Price is Right.
Exactly.
Okay, he said 180. I'm gonna go 175, Bob.
204.
Oh man.
They put things in them that are 20 grand options and you can't even see. So.
Do you think you could ever work with your significant other in the capacity of building something, building a business, or anything?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, man.
No way.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite for me. Like when it comes to like communicating with her, that's the difficult part. But we see actually eye to eye on a lot of things when it comes to business. I think my uncle a long time ago, he said, if you're gonna marry a woman that can either take care of your health or take care of your money. and the job that she has, you know, she has a financial background, so she understands money at a different level than I could understand it. I just know how to get it. She knows how to manage it and make sure it grows and secure it. So, and when it comes to different ventures, she thinks of things different than I would. I'm the kind of like the aggressor, the go-getter, like the guy who makes the ideas come to life, but she's able to sustain and maintain the ideas and make them really happen.
What business do you think you guys will make? If you can, one off the top of your head.
We've talked about real estate before. We've ventured into also franchising, different businesses. So we've always been on the same page with certain things. She's going into money marketing, money management, all that kind of stuff like that. She just always impresses me and surprises me in certain ways I never thought that she would be. So each time I'm like, okay, I think I did good here, all right.
That's really good, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, AB, what do you think?
I think I could, but it'd have to be with a lot of caveats. So, sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to choose my words wisely here. I don't want to sleep on the couch, but so we both have our strengths and stuff that we're good at, right? She's very organized and very very good at putting things in perspective in terms of like what needs to be done right away, getting people to, outline like an overarching outline of what needs to be done and putting timelines for it. So that could be very useful in terms of logistics, right? So I could use her in that capacity where it's like, all right, I'm gonna handle the finances and go out and do the pitching, and I need you to kind of arrange for all that to happen and put everything in place so that everything's working smoothly. And I think in that capacity we could work really well.
Gary, have you ever run into any trouble with Vonnie in any like creative capacity or financial capacity, like working with her, or has it kind of just been really smooth riding?
It's been pretty smooth. Yeah, I mean, we really, as a couple at home, don't really argue about things. I think because we both realize, the strengths, you're sort of looking at, your strengths and her strengths, but we both realize what each of us is good at, so we don't argue about things. We know there's no point. She doesn't argue about things with me because she'll know that there's no point doing that, and same with me. So no, I mean, it's really just, we would throw different ideas backwards and forwards with each other, so that we don't really say, this is what I think we should do, but we give each other things to think about. It's like, okay, consider this. I try and do that with my kids too. I'm not going to try and advise you what to do, but think about these points to make that decision. So we both do that, and it works pretty well. So you got to like each other too. I mean, we like being around each other. A lot of couples like being apart. I mean, for us, we like to be together. So,
so that works. That's smooth sailing. That's ideal.
All right, so now we're going a little more upscale. This one looks like something the Penguin off the Batman would drive, or like an old school gangster. But this one's the Rolls Royce Dawn.
Actually, little known fact, I'm about to buy this car. That's why it says hold on it. Not sold, but hold. I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna say $438.
Okay. Again, you don't know what options are on it, but I'm going to say $380.
Jesus Christ. $379,950. You're $50 off.
$50 off.
That was a good guess.
I picked that up from you specifically, is how you navigate that shift, right? When it comes close to the big moments, specifically how you start changing your behavior in order to prepare for that moment. It doesn't start when you get on the line, it starts leading up to it. And from 2018 and 2019, I've been like trial and error, trying different things that could help me have that shift and become more of a I don't even know how to, like a dominate aggressor, turn into that ultimate competitor when I get on the line. Because off the track, that is so not me. Yeah. That is not my personality at all. I'm not a loud, abrasive person, but I need to have some type of fire on the track. and I'm learning how to get that. Like if you go back and watch me at nationals, I'm crunk after I run. Like I'm like I'm running around, and when I watch the replay of what I was doing, I'm like, damn, who is that guy? Like I'm like yelling after, I'm like, I'm right here, and I'm like yelling, I'm like, who am I talking to? But it was just like so much of my motivation came from trying to prove myself and like define my legacy. And when that finally came, it kind of just like all the emotion just poured out, and it was just like, just for that small moment, I'm just like, and then I come back down, I'm like, okay, chill.
I mean, your motivation is always going to be surrounded by you. That fire is always around you. A lot of people are so scared of meeting that motivation, because that motivation can be adversity. That motivation could be something that's trying to hold you back, haters, everything. But all that stuff is around you. Gather it, take it in. It can be that one tweet where that guy was like, I'm better than Aaron Brown. I beat him in high school. You can be like, you know what? Bottle that in and take that to the line. But at the end of the day it's serving a purpose for you. Instead of a lot of people who are scared and they block it all out and like, I don't want to deal with that. You're running from it forever until you use that energy for something and transfer it into something that's going to make you successful. And that's what I've learned through trial and error throughout my career and my life, is to say, you know what, instead of blocking it out or becoming mad with just a chip on my shoulder and be an angry person, I'm going to transfer all this energy and I'm going to let it out on the track. And it was the biggest test in 17 for me, because it was like the whole stadium was like booing, brah! And they didn't realize that all that energy, I was just absorbing it all. So each round, it made me stronger and stronger. And it wasn't even to the point where it was like, you know what? I got to win this gold medal. It was, I got to prove all of you wrong, because I know who I am. And it just so happened that all that energy pushed me to the finish line, and I became the world champion.
Just for kicks, last one, Lambo, Hurricane, I don't even know how to say it, Hurricane.
Hurricane. Yeah. 285.
That's a pretty good guess. I'm going to say 245.
So this one actually didn't have the price on it, but I asked my man, and he said it was 250.
This the man right here.
So how fast do you think you can run? Like what's your top speed, ultimate top speed, it's time, sorry, that you can get to? What's your goal?
Is my question?
Yeah.
I've never put limitations on myself. Even as a kid, I was always that kid on the side of the pool while the other kids were in the water playing with their floaties. I was that silly kid on the side of the pool thinking that I can move my legs fast enough to run on water. So, I mean, my imagination has never limited me and said, I can only run 9.7. But each time I've ran faster and faster, it opens my eyes up to see that there is a possibility of running even faster than what I did previously. So I think I have the possibility of running 9.6. If Father Time doesn't tap me on my shoulder, then hopefully I can be able to have that race where mind, body, and soul and legs will allow me to even threaten the world record.
Wow. Okay. I like the same question.
Like you said, you know, when you're a sprinter, right, you don't want to put limitations on yourself, because it's almost a psychological thing, right? So if you're thinking my threshold is 9.8, then when you get to 9.8, it's like, now what? And you kind of have to rethink things. And if you think you're only capable of doing that, then you might not. It's almost spiritual, where your thoughts become
Action.
Yeah, action. So if you're only saying 9.8, 9.8, that's what you're gonna get back. So I don't like to per se say I can only run this, but what I think I'm capable of is definitely running faster than what I've already ran. So my PRs right now are 9.9 and 19.9. I think I can run like a 9.7 if I have a great race. That's not to say that's my limitation, but I think that's what I'm capable of. And I also feel like I can run like a 19.5, 19.4 9.4 in the perfect conditions with the perfect execution in my prime, which would be very, I'd be ecstatic if that was what my career turned out to be.
Right, right. I think what I've done, and comparing to what your field, is that I see myself, I call it daydreaming, but it's more goal setting. But it's like in relation, if I was a sprinter, I'd be thinking, you're saying, okay, 9.7, 9.6. I'd be thinking 9.4, 9.3, because if I go for that, and then I get to just below it, it's great. So I've got all these other things that I want to achieve, and I'm thinking about them all the time, every day, still do it now. And some of them I achieve and some of them I don't. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, but then I've got other things that I'm doing. So I do I like to drive long distances because I'm just thinking about what am I going to do, what can I, how can I achieve those things.
It's funny because I'm pretty similar to that, where it's like the shoot for the stars, and if you don't get there, right, you land on the clouds, right, type of mentality. But you have to make sure there's a distinction where it's like, yeah, I'm saying 9.3, but if I don't get it, I'm not completely saying I'm a failure in my mind. Because if you think that way and it's all or nothing, then it doesn't behoove you to put that goal out there. You want to be more realistic with something capable. But if you can separate in your mind and say like, yeah, I'm going to shoot for Olympic gold world record, and if I don't get there, I'll be satisfied with Olympic silver 9.7, then that's the best way to get the most out of your potential.
Because the goal can always stay out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's always a next race, there's always another deal. Yeah.
Exactly, it's just a foundation,
right,
and obviously, when you want to achieve 9.7 and you get silver, obviously that should give you the hunger to be able to say, okay, well 9.7 is good, but it's not good enough to the taste of what I want. So I need to go faster, I need to be stronger. And as you run faster, like I said, it's like an awakening. You realize, okay, for me to run 9.8 from running 9.9, I need to be stronger. I need to have a better meal plan. You start thinking of small things that will get you to 9.7, because it's always from a 9.9 to a 9.8, it's a very small window. And it's always going to be the small things that you change that are going to help you get to that level.